If there's anything sports and fandom teaches us, it's the cherished virtue of enjoying seeing your other team enemies suffer. This is RamView. Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the July 14th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, Kistler Law. They've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, there we go. Where do we start? Should I start with the news that broke about the 49ers, or should I just stick to the basic stuff? Well, okay, I'll dip into the NFC West report a little bit early. News broke today that Jauan Jennings, who's making 7.5 rocks in his last year of his contract. Remember, the 49ers extended him a couple years ago because he was a 7th-round pick back in 2020. Exceeded all expectations. One of the few hits, really, of the Shanahan-Lynch era these last 5 years. Legitimate job there. He's kind of been the adult in the room, right? Debo's had his issues. Brandon Ayuk has had his issues. And now, Jennings was always the guy you can count on, and people discovered this guy's better than anyone ever gave credit for. And now in this beautiful moment today, Jauan Jennings, who I think is 28, slated to make 7.5 rocks, has informed Fog City that he wants a new contract or he wants to be traded. Isn't that marvelous? And you know why this happens is because they give money to Fred Warner. They give money to players that they shouldn't be giving money to, and they miss on their draft picks, which anybody can miss on draft picks. I get that. Greg Robinson, Bobby Evans, we understand all that kind of stuff. But they give bad money in Frisco. Bad money. They gave that contract to Brandon Ayuk, right? What did Vanessa Williams sing? Sometimes the very thing you're looking for is the one thing you can't see. And they should have traded Ayuk and took care of Jennings before this became an issue. And now they got an issue. They do have money. They've moved enough players to where they have money. But isn't it marvelous just to see this happen to the 49ers? We got a little thing brewing here with the Rams, maybe, possibly. I've seen more on it since going live on Saturday in regards to Terrence Ferguson. Let me just say this. I want Terrence Ferguson to sign. I think Terrence Ferguson will sign and everything. But if Terrence Ferguson continues or himself gets an inflated opinion of himself or really has a moron uncle in the room with him, you know what? Between Higbee, Parkinson, and Davis Allen, basically the Rams' core tight end group last year, actually a slight improvement because you replace Higbee for Hunter Long. Rams are going to be fine. Right? Anything could happen in injury-wise. Rams are going to be fine. So the Rams could just hold their guns on Ferguson. The 49ers, they need him. And it was so funny. I heard that news after I was channel surfing and I caught J-Mac saying he likes the 49ers to win the NFC West. I just can't comprehend somebody looking at the NFC West and saying, oh, the 49ers have the easiest schedule. There is nothing easy about the NFC West this year. Not a thing. Competent coaches, a great offensive coach, a great head coach overall in McVay, really good, competent defensive coaches in Gannon down in Arizona, McDonald up in Seattle, whose teams have made improvements, and you still got members of the KBM telling us the 49ers are going to be a dangerous team, Super Bowl team, some have said. And you look at their age and you look at their wide receiver room and you look at George Kittle. Is Kittle going to stay healthy? Is Christian McCaffrey going to come back to the 22-23 form? And now Juwan Jennings, I will say this, his timing's perfect for him. His timing is perfect for him. And I like the guy. I think he's a really good receiver. And I think that's a good call on his part. Jesus 50, quest for 6 denied. All right. Jesus 50, Dre Greenlaw was better than Fred Warner. I heard, this is what I'm hearing, is that Greenlaw wanted to leave. That's some of the stuff I read, that they did make some overtures to Greenlaw that he actually could have got more than he got in Denver, but he wanted to go. I thought that was interesting. Let's see. Steve Ramirez. Thank you, Jesus, for being here. I do appreciate that. Steve Ramirez. Ferguson group has to know you can't beat the system. Blame the union or the CBA. Exactly. I mean, I think I talked about this on Saturday. When you think about Ferguson, I'm excited, right? And I'm all, again, for players getting their money, because football is such a brutal sport. You get your money, you get your dough, because this whole concept of loyalty is ridiculous. It's a business. We understand that. I do totally get it. But being that Ferguson, again, is a tight end playing for Sean McVay, which tight end, if anybody you're going to play for, is really tough to play it for Sean McVay. Either Ferguson's an absolute jackwagon or he's receiving jackwagon advice if he really considers holding out. If this was Cincy, Cleveland, Miami, Dallas, someplace like that, yeah, sure, okay, roll the dice on that one. But the Rams have demonstrated in the whole Kroenke, McSnead, McVay era, that they take care of their people. The dude is not going to win this. He can play hardball, and he may get something, but the dude is not going to win this. He's going to be behind, and I don't know. Have we seen the Rams cave? Someone help me on the Rams caving. I'd love to get that one. Let's see. Jesus, George Kittle will draw. I like George Kittle. George Kittle had a great year last year, but even he is susceptible, because of his age now, susceptible to being banged up, and they gave him more dough, so they're on the hook there, or even though they got cap space. You're asking when you ask these older guys to repeat what they've done in the plus 30 zone, if they're not a quarterback, you're really expecting something that you have no right to expect. ESG, the 49ers don't get that East Coast bias that the Rams get. Yeah, that's true. Jesus 50, I don't blame Greenlaw for leaving. He doesn't want to play for the bang choke job gang. And you know what? The Broncos are rising with a bullet, right? The Broncos are looking really good. Now they're in the Southeastern Conference of the AFC West, which is really tough. You could have a team with an 8-9, 9-8 record finishing last place in that division. And it's just about Bo Nix's development and everything. But that defense is great. That's a ship that's going into its prime, where the 49ers are a ship that's taking on water, and can you keep the pumps going long enough to get another playoff run? Yeah, I don't like it. I wouldn't want to be a 49er right now either. Willie Bowen, Kyron must hold on to the ball. Willie, I'm the guy that talked about Emmanuel Forbes. I'm guaranteeing you, Kyron Williams will hold on to the ball this year. He will hold on to the ball. Samuel Ansley, howdy, Joe. Thank you, Sam, for clicking on. How are you feeling about the Rams offensive line? I'm not thrilled about an over-the-hill Humphreys and the worst blocking center in NFL history going into training camp. We've talked about that quite a bit. My belief is I don't want to see DJ Humphreys start more than 5 games. I'm optimistic that they spotted this issue. This issue for Alaric Jackson was discovered in early June, conveniently before mandatory camp, that's a good thing. And now they've got all summer to get it taken care of. They got all summer. He's a veteran. He's self-made. He's going to be ready to go when he gets a chance to go. So I'm confident about that. And if he has to, play himself into shape for 2 or 3 games in September. I think the DJ Humphries thing is a really good signing. Before we heard about Alaric Jackson going with the blood clots, I thought it was a great signing, and it's still a great signing if he could buy you a month. But my feeling is I don't want him starting more than 5 games. But it's good depth. It's better depth than AJ Akiri there at left tackle. Same thing with David Quisenberry. I thought that was a great depth signing there. And then you got Havenstein, who I said on Saturday, he's probably going to miss 4 games, but he's going to play well when he does play. Spiritual leader of the offensive line. I have confidence in Warren McClendon at right tackle. Quisenberry can flash over there as well. We have to find out about what Leviston can do, guard, because he played some tackle in school. He looks like he's a guard in the NFL. We'll find out. I like all that. I don't mind having Coleman Shelton on the team. My problem is I've said this all since we signed him. We've seen the best of Coleman Shelton. And the best of Coleman Shelton isn't all that much better than Bo Limmer. And Bo Limmer was just a rookie. And I don't know if the ceiling's any higher for Coleman Shelton. He's comfort food for the Rams. They feel comfortable about him picking out those calls and everything. If it's to get 2 years out of him to get Limmer to go to the next level, okay. But there's some depth there, and that makes us feel comfortable, right? That makes us feel comfortable, Sam. And also the third center, Dylan McMahon. And there's also talk of Limmer playing some backup guard. But Dylan McMahon was a 6th-round pick as well last season of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was taken ahead of Limmer. They put him on the practice squad, but the Rams took him off the Eagles practice squad. So my feeling is McMahon can play, and so the Rams are very comfortable with this room. They also got 3 solid starts out of undrafted free agent Justin Dedich. I like the Rams' offensive line. You know, you can't prevent the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre offensive line massacre like we had back then. Those things just happen. But overall, I like this offensive line, and I'm feeling pretty confident about it. Hope I didn't go too long on that one, Sam. Jesus, my only concern is with the Rams is the left tackle position, which we just talked about. Willie Bowen, I want to see the 2 backs in the LA Rams backfield. Find that fullback, Willie. You got to find that fullback. Willie, have you ordered a Cullen Bryant jersey or a John Capoletti jersey? You should have one of those. You earned it. Go get a Gooman jersey, all right? Decide which number looks best on you, right? 22, 32, or 44. Go get one of those, okay? And you'll feel better. Let's see. USA expat. No matter what happens this year, Rams need to prioritize the offensive tackles next year. I think you're right. I think you're right. You know, that again, which I'm happy to give credit because I do take shots at the KBM. My feeling again, and this is redundant, guys, for me to say this, but since expat brought it up, just to reinforce, you know, my feeling was put those 2 draft picks next year together, move up, and get a good backup, get a good future quarterback to replace Stafford. But you know, Coward was the guy that came up with this. If Stafford has a great year, why write him off as that his career is over? And this window the Rams are in is at least 2 more years because of contracts. Why not use those 2 draft picks to get more pieces around Stafford? And one of those pieces would be a right tackle, right? Would be, absolutely. And so maybe another receiver, maybe another running, you know, who knows, but get more pieces around Stafford. Great take. Jesus 50. I hope Puka won't affect his game. You know, has that resurfaced at all? You know, because I think I was out. I wasn't on at that time, and then it kind of went away. So hopefully it's all good. Let's see. USA Expat. The Rams have 1 more week to get Ferguson contract signed. I think it's more if Ferguson has 1 more week to get signed. I don't think the Rams are going to be held hostage by a 2nd-round tight end out of Oregon. I think the kid is not bright. He's not listening. He's not adult. Something's wrong there on his end. And again, get all you can, but this is probably the best organization in the NFL, alongside the Chiefs and a couple others maybe. But why would you jack around with the Rams, right? They are pretty good about what they do, right? So, and we know what this is. The second round picks are getting guaranteed money. The guy in Houston got guaranteed money, and it's about guaranteed money. It's not about more money. Just bad mojo on Ferguson's part. Jim Everett saying hi to Willie. Willie saying hi to me. All right. Jim Everett saying hi to me. Thank you. Willie Bowen, I had a John Capoletti jersey. All right. Good for you, man. Let's see. Willie says hi to Jim. There you go. Bill, do you think Ferguson will have a lengthy holdout? I didn't think it was anything last week. I'm still inclined to think it's nothing. If it's a lengthy holdout, all he's doing is sending a message to the Rams that I'm not bright. That's all I'm hearing. That's all I'm seeing. This isn't Shamar with the Cincinnati Bengals, which is a disaster when it comes to handing out money and taking care of its people. This is the Los Angeles Rams under Stan Kroenke, Les Snead, Sean McVay. This is a team that gets less for the players because they ask oh man, sorry, very unprofessional. But I'm human. They ask guys like Robert Woods, hey, where do you want to go? And we'll take less to get you where you want to be. Big mistake on Ferguson's part, a demanding position in McVay's offense. And so, yeah, if there's a problem, it's him. Let's see. Tim Burns, if Ferguson is this guy now, he is going to be that guy later. Me. Again, we all have to grow up, though, right? We all have to have room to mature. Somebody stuck with me when I did the most serious of stupid things when we're young, right? I like to think when I was 18, I'd have done something different. If I looking back, I could have done something. No, it was who I was, right? They were trying to get me to go down to our denomination's college down in San Diego when I was 18. I was a horrible student. And the truth was they were just looking to get kids from our denomination to the college. And man, it was super expensive. It was about, $3,500 a year. I was like, oh my gosh, talk about day and age. But I often thought back, I should have done it. But the dorms for this college are right on the beach in San Diego. It's Point Loma College. It's right there on the beach. And I'd have learned how to surf, but I never would have gone to class. And so you just have to grow up, right? And hopefully this is the moment Ferguson grows up. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Willie Bowen, LA Rams are set at the wide receiver position. I think so. I do believe that. Jim Everett, Rams will win the West. If they don't win the West, it's a failed season. They could go 9-8, make the playoffs, or 11-6. It's a failed season. But I think they can actually go 4-2 within the NFC West. I like a 6-0 or a 5-1. But I really like the NFC West. I think there's going to be some tough games there. Let's see. Jordan Whittington is ready to explode. Jesus 50. Hey, I talked about that. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if he's going to be Puka level. I don't think it's that kind of a Cinderella story, but I think he's going to be good. Bill, I want a Harold Jackson jersey. You walk into some of the shops at the mall, the Champion Sports, the Lids, they got the jerseys up there of retired players. And the 29 they always put up there is Eric Dickerson. And I'm always thinking, I'm never tempted to buy. I like Dickerson, but I'm never tempted to buy it. But I tell you, if I walked into one of those places and it had Jackson on the back of a 29 jersey, I'd be all over that thing. I would be. I'm a big Harold Jackson guy. There you go. Let's see. Manny says hi. Manny says hi. Manny says hi. Manny's getting his greetings. And Bill, this is Ferguson's missed opportunity to win Rookie of the Year. Yeah, and play significantly for a team that's contending for a Super Bowl, right? Manny says hi. Okay, Willie Bowen agreed. Jim Everett, Rams will dominate the NFC West. They're going to win it. Dominate. I don't know. Tim Burns says hi. I'm so glad everyone's saying hi to each other here. Tommy Huxley, Lambs will go 0-17 this season. No, the Rams aren't going 0-17. You're just pulling everyone's chain. Manny saying hi to Tim. Willie saying wrong, Tommy. Okay, Tommy Huxley, I've been wrong before. There you go. Bill, if Ferguson is blowing an opportunity at Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he's going to be Rookie of the Year, but I think he's missing a huge opportunity. Manny Correa, Pastor Joe, Emmanuel Forbes time. Yes, time for me to be insufferable. Tommy Huxley, I didn't know there were even Ram fans, more Raider fans in LA. Oh, don't get me started, Tommy. I think I've said it. That's why I'm happy you guys still hang with me. I've said it going back to when I was a kid. Ram fans are some of the worst in the world because you got to kind of scrape off all the fat that clings around when the team is winning and really boil it down. The kind of Ram fan that they've cultivated, and I think this is one of the poor jobs since moving back to LA, is they've cultivated the movie star, they've cultivated the sports bar guy that watches the big game at Buffalo Wild Wings. No, real Ram fan goes into the RamCave, goes into their man cave, throws everybody out of the house, and goes into bitter grudge mode until their team wins, right? And those are the kind of guys you want to cultivate. Those are the real Ram fans, and there's not a whole lot of them. Jesus, Jordan Whittington is fresher than Deebo Samuel. Absolutely, and he's cheaper. Let's see. Very tough decision, JD Durham. Thank you, JD. Now Tim Burns is saying hi. Great. I'm going to start my own, Joe book there. You guys are also, you could all say hi to each other. Tommy Huxley, Rams D-line is scary. We're going to talk about that today. And Devontae Adams still has it. And even if it's just a little bit less than the Devontae Adams in Green Bay, he's still going to be great. USA Expat, bless you, PJ, for the sneezes. I know it was ridiculous. I'm sorry I sneezed. I feel bad. Let's see. Manny Correa, I don't care if I was the only Ram fan. I ride or die. Hey, if you survived 2005 through 2016, you're a Ram fan, right? If you could survive that nightmare, right, you're a Ram fan. That was the crucible, right? That's the 40 years of wandering in the desert until you cross the river, right? And McVay brings you into the promised land. But yeah, that one, yeah, you survived that. You're a Ram fan. Let's see, Tommy Huxley. Rudy has had season tickets for a minute. Rudy. I'm sorry, man. I need help with that one. Tim Burns, absolutely. Cave dwellers are the real Ram fans. And bitter Ram fans, the kind of fans that kind of grin and smile like the Grinch when the 49ers have a contract problem now with their best active receiver in Jawan Jennings, right? You just kind of smile, right? That sounds really cool. I love that about being a Ram fan. Tommy Huxley, I know you guys hate the Packers, as do I. I'm not a Packer fan necessarily. I like to see them do well. I'd like to have a couple of victories in Lambeau, that's for sure. Let's see. Have the Rams done enough to improve their run defense? Jesus 50. It all boils down to Poona Ford, right? I'm going to talk about Poona Ford today. Tim Burns, what happened in 2016, Joe? Well, they came home, right? But they brought the dude they had been dating the last few years, right? You want your kids to come home, but you don't want their friends coming with them, right? And they had to get that baggage. Jeff Fisher was like that ghost that follows you home from Haunted Mansion, right? It's like, go away, right? Go away. Let's see. Manny Correa, laugh out loud. So true, Joe. Which one was that? Oh, the hanging out for 12 years. Absolutely. USA Expat. I also survived the John Shaw era. Yes, but there were a few moments, but yes. Tommy Huxley, Rudy is Ramalia Sports. Oh, okay. Thank you, Tommy. Curtis Olson, thank you for joining us. Please hit like, hit share, hit subscribe. Ram fan since 67. Man, you predate me by 5 years. So you got in on that George Allen wave, right? They finally got a winning season in 66. They go 8-6. Then in 67, that's the year they beat the Packers at home, then lost on the road to them. Had another great year in 68, but because of the divisional alignments, they couldn't get in there, the old Coastal Division stuff. And then that great 69. So, yeah, welcome, Curtis Olson. So you're old blue and white Ram. Good for you. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Tim Burns, real question. What Rams guy do you hate? Current Rams guy or former Rams guy? Eddie Brown? Eddie Brown as a player. Don't hate anyone as an individually. My dislike is Eddie Brown. Eddie Brown, and Eddie Brown. There you go. But if it's a current player or a more modern player, let me know. Tommy Huxley, stop it, Joe. You know you were in your 30s. Oh, yeah. 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 People are surprised by my age. Then they see me with my total hair. My hair is a bit white, but I still got my hair, right? So there you go. JD Durham. No whining and drama like the Niners. McVay, Shula, GM. Nah, man. Again, this is the golden age for us as Ram fans. We need to appreciate everything we got. Tim Burns, me, Elvis Patterson, also known as Toast. Really? But Elvis didn't play for the Rams. He had a run with the Raiders, and didn't he have a run with the Giants or something? Help me with that one. Or are you talking Elvis Peacock? DHP, welcome aboard, man. Great to have you here tonight. I'm so afraid of the left tackle and suspect right tackle situation. Again, they found out about Alaric Jackson first week of June. So he's getting treatment all the way through. He's a veteran. He's locked down that position for the last 2 years. When they found those blood clots, now again, maybe the doctor comes out and says, bro, you can't play again. All right, that's a different story. But remember when they found that out, week 9 in 2022, the season was over. But he came back in 2023, beat out Noteboom, right? And then held it down last year. Good enough for the Rams to extend him and give him a nice contract as a priority. I think he might have been the first player signed. So I'm feeling confident that he's going to beat this. And let's just say everything goes well. And was it September 7th against the Texans? Let's say Alaric Jackson is in the lineup. Think about where the Rams are at if you got a DJ Humphries as your backup, right? If Quisenberry makes the team, you've got a veteran who has gotten some real experience in the NFL. McVay is high on Warren McClendon. Havenstein's a little concerned. I think he's going to miss some games. I think if they can give him a day off here and there, they will. But I'm trusting Havenstein to play out strong in the last year of his contract. But the hard part is if he plays well, what do you do, right? And that guy's always been team first, right? That guy's always adjusted his one of the most unsung Rams, right? Can we all say amen to that? Has been Rob Havenstein this last decade or so, right? Just pencil him in, does his job, will restructure his contract. A Wisconsin offensive lineman. We're down. We're down with the get down. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, 1969 for me, left in 95, but returned in 2009. Thanks, YouTube. Okay. I as I shared when the Rams left, my second team was always the Redskins and the Chiefs. And so I would root for those teams. By the end of the Joe Gibbs era, they weren't seeing hail to the Redskins anymore through the 90s. So I was rooting for the Chiefs. They're in the AFC. But I think I've shared this. The Chiefs would lose a big game, and I'd be mad for an hour. When the Rams would lose a playoff game, and I'm still like this, when the Rams lose, I'm upset for a month, right? I don't even want to see the news. You're talking to a guy, probably Steve was the same way, probably many of you the same way. When we were younger, minimum of 3 newspapers a day that we purchased, a minimum. If I was in the bathroom at Chili's and I'm going to the urinal and they had a USA Today sports section to read while you're urinating, I would, as I'm standing there, thumb open and pick open that little frame that held it in there, and I would steal that newspaper. Yeah, I know. Cuff me, man. There you go. But that's what I did. And so you did all those things, and when the Rams lost, I wouldn't do any of it. It just made me sick inside. I've matured a little bit since then, and I realized I could never shake the Rams. I tried to. I could not shake them, and so I went through all the suffering. But I did have an honest elation when they won Super Bowl 34. Everything was beautiful until Vermeil, and they handed she who must not be named that trophy. And then she had to remind us why we don't like her, right? She had to say, just proves we did the right thing by coming to St. Louis, right? I'm all into Carol Rosenblum murder investigations after that again, right? Epstein files, and then I want to know about Rosenblum, right? There you go. So yeah, that's my history there. Let's see. DHP, I called it. I could not write in, but Colin Kaepernick claimed to be ready for treatment. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, and I'm in my 30s, right? I'm in my 30s. Unbelievable, that guy. DHP, I believe Havenstein should be in the Rams Hall of Fame. Down with the get down. You could build that guy a statue as far as I'm concerned. They never will, but you could give him a statue. They ought to be building statues since they're allowing the Bolts to pay rent there because Spanos is too cheap. That I've heard that's why they're not going to have a Ring of Honor. So if you're not going to do that, then create a walkway with statues so people can walk through the gates there and see the statues of these players who revitalized Rams 2.0 in LA, and Havenstein is one of them. Tim Burns, only other team I rooted for was the Raiders. I like the LA run, but as an A's fan, you kind of have to like Raider fan. I like the Raiders in Oakland. I like the whole Soul Patrol, Tatum, Atkinson. I loved all that stuff. I love watching some of the best America's games that they had on the NFL Network are the ones about the Raiders. The one for the 83 Raiders is the best. The 76 Raiders one is right up there. I love it all. Hey, guys, let me come back to this. And we'll get through here because we are just having a really good time. Okay. I saw the click there. There was a link. If injuries hit, the Rams should look at Amari Cooper. I'm good. If injuries hit, Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen would be nice veteran pickups for the Rams mid-season. Those guys are going to be cheap. Those guys are going to be ring chasing. And I think on their part, it's smart. Stay in shape. Be ready for the call when it comes. Giving away some further information here, but hey, we're all kind of thrown off here today. Really interesting is Mike Williams, who's just come back to the Raiders for an unspecified injury, is already on the PUP list. So Keenan Allen might be getting that call from Joe Horowitz and the Chargers real soon. Okay, top coaches and execs release their top quarterbacks. I'm tired of arguing about this. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Jaden Daniels. Then Stafford at number 6. And Herbert, Goff, Hurts. People are upset because Hurts is so low. They just don't watch Hurts when he throws the ball. Hurts is not going to rally you from behind. He's just not. Hurts did not beat Patrick Mahomes. He did not. The Philadelphia Eagles crushed Patrick Mahomes, their defense. I don't hate Hurts. I just think, let's not get crazy about him. And number 10 is Baker Mayfield. That's pretty cool. I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. But honestly, Stafford should be 3. I think Burrow, people just love Joe Burrow. I don't. Lamar Jackson has limits. And Jaden Daniels has played 1 year, right? Sound like I'm the president of the Matthew Stafford fan club, but maybe I am. All right. Before we get to that offensive line or that defense, I'm Joe Terosian, sports writer for 21 years, one of the founding guys at Mid-Valley Sports. I don't work there anymore. I just contribute. Tim Peterson, Dwayne Barker, they run the show there, and they cover the Chargers. They're in the room with the Chargers, so good for them. I write books, and my books are on Amazon. Every time you buy one of my books, you help keep me on the air, as does Kistler Law as a sponsor. They do a great job. Can't speak enough about Kistler Law. Had lunch with them this weekend. But they keep me employed in my day job. My day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene. You can follow us, and you should be hitting the subscribe button on Burbank Faith Virtual right here on YouTube. And then, of course, there's burbankfaithvirtual.com and Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And check us out on Spotify and iHeart. And it'll be you and me, and that's about it because we're not making any traction there. Okay, before I look at the defense, let's go back to what we were talking about. Let's see here. Steve Ramirez, the only offensive lineman to survive the Chainsaw 2022 massacre was Havenstein. Isn't that ironic? Yeah, he was. He was the only one. He was out there. I love Havenstein. I'm pro Havenstein. You know what else I loved about the 2022 season, even though there wasn't anything to love? Is when people badmouth or say we don't need Jalen Ramsey and stuff. We didn't need his contract. We didn't need him to be a shutdown corner to bring him back. I'd have been happy to bring him back. But what I really loved about Ramsey and Bobby Wagner that year, when the season fell apart, those two guys were still out there knocking heads, right? They didn't quit on the team. They didn't back off on the team. Week 18, they're still playing. They're still banging. And so I'll always have respect for those guys. And same for Havenstein that go out there. Jesus, Niners are the Rams' jealous older brother. There you go. Yeah, I never hated the 49ers back in the 80s. It's just impossible to hate Joe Montana. But now, yeah, I love their misery, right? That's part of being a Ram fan. I love your misery as a 49er fan. I just love it. Let's see. USA Expat, even worse for me. If Rams lost, I still had to go to school full of 49er fans. Ooh, okay. There you go. My first boss in ministry was a Dallas Cowboy fan. And he promoted all that God's team and there was a hole in the stadium and blah, blah, blah. And I think the Rams beat them in Dallas in 92. And it was a real upset, and I let him have it. And then he let me have it by, well, I won't tell you what happened at staff meeting. Anyway, Steve Ramirez. In high school, if the Rams lost, I avoided my friend who was a Vikings fan on Monday. Ooh, that's awful. Yeah, that one, Vikings and Cowboy fans back in the day. And I think younger folks don't remember how heated that business was regarding the Vikings back in the day. We hated the Vikings, hated them. And then they moved indoors, and they lost all their edge. Let's see. Tim Burns. Kaepernick knew he had to grift when he was benched. Took his parents down, so he will never be a team player. Yeah, he did take his parents down. I wouldn't go anywhere near him. USA Expat. My first Oakland Raider game was before Nets behind the goalpost. Talk about brutal fights over the football. Wow. So USA Expat, were you up there? I imagine Tim Burns might have been a tiny bit young. Maybe Tim Burns too. Did you see, follow, listen to, watch, go to that 74 playoff game with the Dolphins? That epic game. That was one of the great. That is probably one of the greatest games ever. Tim Burns. Mayfield needs to name his first son McSneed for real. People wrote him off. Absolutely, totally. I totally agree. Definitely. At least middle name. USA Expat. Kroenke should raise prices 2 times for the Chargers luxury boxes. Don't even get me started, man. It makes me so angry. I just don't want the Chargers here. Maybe for my friends who are covering them because that gives them NFL access. But, you know, they had NFL access when they were playing at StubHub Home Depot Center, so they can move there. Anyway, okay. So on Friday, when we got knocked off the air, and then I repeated the show on Saturday, I wanted to look at all the different position groups, defensive line, edge, off-ball linebacker, corner, safety, and everything, and just give my thoughts about each one of these guys. You know, like what am I thinking when I hear these guys? And you're free to comment when you hear them. So starting with the defensive line, I'm very optimistic. Braden Fisk, I think if he stays healthy, he's going to have a great year. I think he's going to eat because Kobe Turner is there, Poona Ford is there, Byron Young is there, Jared Verse is there. These guys are all going to feed off each other. Each one of these guys is going to be walking the other through the buffet line. My only worry about Braden Fisk is his health. That's it. You know, that little knee thing that didn't turn major last year at the end of the Eagle game. My only concern is that. Kobe Turner, you know, my thing is playing without Aaron Donald, he proved how great he is. My curiosity about Kobe Turner is, does he go to another level this year? Because Braden Fisk is there. And the reason I bring that up, Poona Ford is there. I was pro Bobby Brown, but Poona Ford is an improvement on Bobby Brown. And Poona Ford is critical this year. He is so critical. And if he is what he has been that in the past and what the Rams expect him to be, that's just going to make everything so much better for that defensive front. And then you got Tyler Davis, who got snaps last year. They invested in Ty Hamilton out of Ohio State. And, you know, you got DeJuan Johnson and maybe Larrell Murchison. I'm not going to go into the UDFAs, but this could be a special group in terms of a special rotation. They got guys they bring in that you're not going to have too much of a drop-off immediately. You know, if they have to play multiple games without Kobe Turner or Braden Fisk, yeah, that's an issue. But in-game rotation, Ty Hamilton, Tyler Davis, DeJuan Johnson, who could be on the bubble with Larrell Murchison this year. I do like this defensive line room. The edge, Jared Verse. Everyone knows about Jared Verse, right? Boom. Okay, we're good, right? I think Jared Verse, you know, my only thing is about all these guys, stay healthy, right? Because we want to see the best of what Jared Verse can be. I'm not saying he's going to be Lawrence Taylor, but maybe an incredible simulation, right? Jared Verse is a beast, and he's got all that Ram quality to him, which we love. Byron Young is hungry. A guy doesn't get to this level when you think starting going through the dollar store, right, and get to where he got from the dregs to Tennessee to the NFL. So this guy's playing for his future. We know he's not Jared Verse, but this guy's had 9 sacks in each of his first 2 years, and he's been great. He's been everything we've wanted him to be. He's 27 this year. I think he turns 28 next year. When he goes for that next contract, that's the part that's kind of a bummer, is would you extend him? When he goes for that second contract, he's going to be 29. I want Byron Young to just take off in a great way. I'd love it if he takes off and you got bookends with him and Verse if the Rams want to pay for it, or if he leaves as a free agent, you get a premium compensatory pick. I really do like this team. Josiah Stewart, Brennan Jackson, and Nick Hampton. Which one of these guys is going to be Michael Hoyt? I think we were kind of just, Nick Hampton, we haven't seen anything out of. People are believing in Brennan Jackson, but man, we've heard a lot of talk about Josiah Stewart. If Josiah Stewart is that guy, remember Josiah Stewart's third round too, and right where you got Byron Young, and he's a Michigan guy. So I'm leaning towards Josiah Stewart. Keir Thomas is still around. He's the Ronnie Rivers of the edge room, right? He's the Ronnie Rivers of the edge room. Let's see, Tim Burns. I want to pull a Kaepernick, go back 9 years and tell my boss I can still be a bodyguard. Try it. See how it works. USA Expat, lots of players I can't wait to see in the preseason games. Isn't that cool? Because you get to see them in the preseason games. I always hear people complaining about the preseason games. I love the preseason games. That's your chance to evaluate and find out what the team has, right? Jesus 50, Josiah Stewart will be a madman. I believe it too. Okay, number 6, off-ball linebacker. I've talked about this. This has gone from, oh man, is this not a weak room or something? I think it's stronger. Nate Landman is an upgrade from Roseman. We've said that. Omar Spates now has a year of experience and understanding of the game. And now people are really high on Poop Hall and the Sean Dolak kid. I hope so. I hope so with both those guys. But if they're hot for these guys, Jake Hummel being gone, Roseman being gone, we're good. And if we can elevate, and remember, with these undrafted free agents like Sean Dolak at off-ball, it's not just the Rams who have devalued off-ball linebacker. It's much of the NFL. And so guys that people feel like they don't have to draft, they'll just sign after the draft, right? And so you're not going to, unless they're just absolute beasts, you're not going to invest that. So think about that in terms of Dolak. And then think about this. The Rams did invest a draft pick in Chris Poopall. And that's kind of exciting. That makes us, man, I want to see how this plays out. Troy Reeder, I'm not going to be disappointed if he makes the team. I'm going to be significantly disappointed if he plays any amount of serious snaps, right? He's comfort food. He's the veteran in the room. He's the guy talking to them about how the Rams do things. He's helping them understand the Fangio, Staley, Raheem Morris, now Chris Shula's system and all the wrinkles that have been put in. But we don't want to see Troy Reeder on the field. Add him to the coaching staff, right? Add him to the coaching staff. The cornerbacks. Again, this is a room that it's good in its totality, not in individuality. Hopefully Emmanuel Forbes breaks that. Darius Williams. He was not bad last year. He was solid. Akilla Witherspoon was really good, but remember, he didn't play the first half of the season. Darian Kendrick did not play last year, and the Rams thought enough to bring him back. And think about this. Darian Kendrick, who's the guy that was popped for having the gun in his car, driving after midnight, nothing good happens after midnight. Darian Kendrick gets cut because the Rams want to save some money. He doesn't take it personally, and he resigns with the Rams instead of going someplace else. Someone would have given him a shot. What does that tell us about maybe the maturity that's come about Darian Kendrick? And then, of course, there's Kobe Durant, who's also in his contract year along with, not Kendrick anymore, but Kobe Durant's in his contract year, and Emmanuel Forbes, right? I think if Darius Williams and Akilla Witherspoon weren't out there, I think it wouldn't be great, but I think we'd feel very comfortable with Kobe Durant and Emmanuel Forbes, right? And Emmanuel Forbes is my guy who has the potential in that room to be the breakout guy. The other thing about Kobe Durant, he can also play the star role, that slot corner that's called the star role. Safety, we got Quentin Lake, Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, and Jalen McCullough. Quentin Lake plays the star role. He can play safety as well. He's probably the guy that's going to play the star role. And then you got depth with Kobe Durant. But Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, and Jalen McCullough all took snaps in that star role. It's very interchangeable. And then, of course, you got Curl, who had a really good back half last year that people are not acknowledging. Cam Kitchens, who played better after a benching early in the year. And Jalen McCullough, the UDFA, that surprised everybody. Lot to like about this defense. And the thing is that outside of your, I would say, outside of, and I'll put Fisk in there, Fisk and Turner with their hands down, Byron Young and Jared Verse, beyond those two guys, there's no need for a lot of great, right? There's no need for a lot of great, but a collection of really solid players do really like this defensive roster. And the question is going to be is what kind of money is, if he continues, is Kobe Turner going to want or going to get? I think they might have an advantage because Kobe Turner is making noise in the music industry, and he might say, hey, I'll take a little less to stay out here to advance my career. Would he? Maybe. I don't know. There you go. USA Expat. I'm with you, PJ. Betting on Forbes this year. Yeah. The Rams signed him off of waivers, meaning they assumed his contract, his rookie contract. They did that because they had belief, and McVay is dropping Forbes' name an awful lot this summer, and that kind of gives us an indication that when McVay's dropping your name, it's like, oh yeah, be listening, because that means he really, really likes you. All right, let's roll this thing on. NFC West, I talked about Juwan Jennings slated to make 7.5 rocks and wanting a new deal or to be traded. He's 28. It's time, and I get it. And he has the 49ers over a barrel because he's the only really proven receiver they have. Brandon Ayuk, there's some mystery, there's some speculation he could be back week 1, but it's Brandon Ayuk, right? Whatever. But let's look at the Cardinals in the NFC West real quick. I've been all over the Cardinals and their age. Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. Are these guys going to hold up? Budda Baker, who's got some mileage on him now as a safety. Are they calling him Budda Baker now? I thought it was Budda Baker. I've heard him referenced as Budda Baker. But they signed Josh Sweat from the Eagles, reuniting him with Jonathan Gannon. But if you look at their draft, the Cardinals, round 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 drafted defensive players. Jonathan Gannon. Their number 1 pick, Walter Nolan, put him right there on that defensive line. Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. I had a Cardinal fan preaching the gospel of Walter Nolan. Potentially a top flight corner in Will Johnson, who went at number 47 in the second round. And they've had some improvement there as well in that position. If Will Johnson, there was speculation, and before injury reports came out, that Will Johnson could have been a top 10 pick. He's a Michigan guy. So Will Johnson, if he can just perform, that's a steal for them. And then a name that you heard during the draft, and everyone's kind of forgotten about it. Well, 2 names. Actually 3 names. But the one that really stood out to me was 3rd round, 78th overall, was Jordan Birch out of Oregon. And you heard this name during the draft, but you kind of lost sight of it after a while. But you realize he went to the Cardinals. That again, Monte Jackson and Jonathan Gannon have put together some excellent drafts. They took off-ball linebacker Cody Simon from Ohio State, and then they took Ohio State cornerback Denzel Burke. They drafted a guard at number 6, but they went back and got a safety out of Nevada named Keaton Crawford at number 7 in round 7. This team, I'm not worried about everyone after round 5, but Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, and Jordan Birch, for a team that's been hitting on its draft picks, for a team that has been hitting on its draft picks the last few years, a defensive tackle, a corner, and an edge. Wow. If those guys hit, I'm telling you, the Cardinals are a team that you got to be careful with. And heaven help us if they ever get a quarterback, right? Because that's going to be their Achilles heel. Something to think about there. Seahawks. Not going to break down the Seahawks too much. I don't like their receivers outside of Jackson Smith and Najigba, and I know I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a really good year, but I think it's going to be his last hurrah. And then I think they signed MVS, Valdez Scantling. Come on, please. You're not being serious there. But the guy that's really interesting is the guy that was projected to the Rams in a lot of drafts, taken in the second round, Elijah Arroyo out of Miami. And he's one worth keeping an eye on, that if he's potentially a target for Sam Darnold, that huge help, because that offensive line I wouldn't trust in Seattle. I just would not trust it. Too many question marks. You start with Charles Cross, and then is Gray Zabel ready to play at left guard, right? Are there center and right guard ready to go, right? Is Abe Lucas ready to get back to rookie form? A lot of mysteries along that offensive line, but their defense is going to be solid, and they're going to need Elijah Arroyo on offense. And so their running backs get hurt a lot there. They get nicked up there in Seattle. Just something I wanted to share and get that out. Let's see. Jesus, the Rams secondary was not the issue last year. You're right, Jesus. But isn't it funny when you see all the stuff in the KBM when they're talking about projecting into this year? You hear the so-called experts, and again, that's why I use terms like KBM, is the ones that think they're smarter than you, who should be smarter than all of us, but they're lazy. They don't do their homework. They just come back and see, well, the Rams haven't addressed their room. They've dismissed Emmanuel Forbes. They didn't see the Rams draft anybody. They didn't see the Rams sign anybody. So obviously the cornerback room sucks. And no, the Rams secondary was not an issue last year. It was something that was I don't want to say great. But it was something that didn't keep them from going to the Super Bowl, right? Jesus, the Cardinals will be the Cardinals. Okay, Jesus, Sam Darnold will be Sam Darnold. I agree on that. The Cardinals, again, I'm telling you, I don't want to wear this one like Emmanuel Forbes, all right? I don't even want to say I told you so. But just watch out for the Cardinals, right? Just watch out. Again, my big fear when it comes to the Cardinals is Kyler Murray gets it right. Kyler Murray at some point figures it out.
I don't think he's tough enough, Holmes. I don't think he's got enough heart.
And I don't think Kyler Murray has heart. I don't. But I sure hope he doesn't get one, right? I sure hope he doesn't get one, because the Cardinals are starting to scare me. All right. Around the NFL and other places, as we get on the backside here, I'm after 50 minutes, guys. Help me. The cool part was that stuff broke about Jawan Jennings today, but the Jets just extended Garrett Wilson 4 years, 130 rocks. I think that's a mistake. I think I would have found a way to trade him and picked up pieces, right? Are the Jets going to beat the Bills out this year, right? I think I might have moved him. I like Garrett Wilson, but, is that because you really believe the next 2 years Justin Fields is your quarterback? Okay, if Justin Fields turns into the guy everyone thought he was when the Bears took him out of Ohio State, and he finally gets the right guy and everyone helping him, all right, then the Garrett Wilson signing is good. But man, I just don't know if I'd have done that. But top dollar makers this year at wide receiver, not the length of the contract, but just this year. Jamar Chase of the Bengals getting 40 rocks. Justin Jefferson, 35 rocks. CeeDee Lamb, 34. DK Metcalf, 33. Garrett Wilson, 32.5. A.J. Brown, 32. Jamar Chase has been to one Super Bowl. Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, and Garrett Wilson have not been to the Super Bowl. I think a couple of playoff appearances there, but no Super Bowls. And A.J. Brown's been to 2 Super Bowls. But I view the Eagles as a collective, and I think, well, I don't want to say they'd be okay without A.J. Brown, because I don't think they would be, but I still wouldn't give A.J. Brown 32 rocks. But I just think some positions, there's a glut of wide receivers. I don't think you have to pay. I don't. If for some reason the Rams pull off this miracle of Nakua in 2023 in the 5th round, and he stays who he is, and Jordan Winnington in 2024 becomes who people think he can be. And then in 2025, if Kanata Mumfield actually sees the field and gets snaps, Heaven's Gate and Hell's Flames, right? And let's just say the Rams go to the Super Bowl. Look what they're going to the Super Bowl with. And look who they're taking. They're taking a Hall of Fame receiver with them, Devontae Adams, who they're not paying Hall of Fame money to. Right? So I think you could always find places to go. Spend it on your left tackle. Spend it on your quarterback. Spend it, wisely. Don't spend it on your safeties and your off-ball linebacker. There you go. All right, let's see here. Let's see. USA Expat, another great pod tonight. Thank you, USA Expat. Jesus, all the Rams defense needs is a hardcore thumping linebacker. I think they got 6 linebackers who can thump. They might not be hardcore. Maybe it's going to be really bad. Maybe they're soft-core thumpers, not hardcore thumpers. Maybe that's what it is. Okay. USA Expat, I didn't mean to be quick on that, but thank you so much for you guys' positive encouragement.
It was a stone groove, my man.
All right, it's July 14th. Nothing happening Rams history in July 15th, but I did want to get a couple things in here. July 14th, 1971, Rams signed Phil Olsen, Merlin Olsen's brother, as a free agent. Costs them a draft pick down the road. On this day in 1983, the Rams sent the rights to Doug France, who hadn't played for a couple years, to Houston for a 10th round pick. That 10th round pick in 1984 was Woody Van, who was a good special team player for a couple years with the Rams, 84 and 85. I got a high five from Woody at one of the few games I went to, so I've always got a soft spot for Woody Van. 1995, the Rams released on this day Keith McCants. Remember Keith McCants? I think he was drafted by the Buccaneers. He might have been one of the first overall picks and a really high number 1, and he flamed out, and he bounced around the league and didn't work out. Rams had him, and, of course, it didn't work out. Happy birthday today, class act all the way. Born in 1932, Penn State alum, Rosie Greer turns 93 today. I haven't shared it for a while. A couple years ago, a guy named Henry Yep, who was the team photographer for the Rams in the 80s, that whole decade, he invited me, and I got to meet him and Rams brothers, and I got to meet them out at a Rams Fest out in Ontario, and it was probably 98 degrees, and Rosie Greer is already in his 90s, and Rosie Greer is there, and Frank Corral, Leroy Irvin. I'm trying to think a couple other guys showed up later, but Harold Jackson was going to show up, but he had something come up family-wise, and Rosie Greer's there. And I was really cool. They said, do you want to meet Rosie Greer? And he was talking to fans and everything, and I just thought, no, I'm cool. I got to meet his wife and talk to his wife, and we were in the conversation. I said, he's 90-plus years old, and he's out here in the sun signing autographs. And his wife was sharing. She goes, you know what? He loves the Rams. He loves everything about the fans and everything. And he says, but he feels like the fans are being gouged for everything, everything you do, right? Going to the stadium, parking, food. She said that he feels like the Rams, everyone, the fans are being gouged. So he comes out to a place like this in his 90s, right? In his 90s, and he's signing autographs for free. He took a break in the middle of the day and came back out. So I'll always have a high respect for Rosie Greer, minister. I think he went and saw OJ when he was in jail. This was the guy that was there with Bobby Kennedy. It's the one question I'm told you're never supposed to ask him about because there's still some emotions there. Just a great, great man, right? And so happy birthday to Rosie Greer. Also, another former Ram turned 72 today, Monte Jackson. Tim Burns' alma mater, San Diego State, born in 1953 on this day. Regarding Monte Jackson, an all-pro year with the Rams in 76 and was great again in 77 before being traded to the Raiders. I just want to hit this one with Monte Jackson. How did the Rams get Monte Jackson? Well, in 1974, after losing to the Packers, after John Hadl was benched and replaced by James Harris against the Packers in Lambeau, the Packers head coach Dan Devine, who had some authority there, traded for John Hadl from the Rams. This is what Dan Devine gave up for John Hadl, a broken down John Hadl. The Rams got the last good piece of him the first half of the 73 season. The Rams got for John Hadl a first-round pick in 1975. They got a first, second, and third-round pick in 1975 from the Packers. And in 1976, they got a first-round pick and a second-round pick. They got 5 top 100 picks. 5 top, what would you say at that time? 26 teams, 28 teams, top 52 picks, right? Because the third round, they only got 1 third-rounder there. Here's the interesting thing. The first-round pick in 75 was number 9 overall, was Mike Fanning. He was kind of like the Michael Brockers of that era. Not a superstar, but really, really solid player. He was traded to the Lions, just like Michael Brockers was. The third-round pick was a center from Washington State named Jeff Reese. Now, what's the big deal about that? Well, the next year, Jeff Reese was flipped after the 76 season, flipped for the number 31 overall pick from the Seattle Seahawks, and the Rams got Nolan Cromwell with that 31st overall pick. The first-round pick the Rams got was sent to the Detroit Lions when the Rams signed Ron Jesse. And so Ron Jesse turned out to be what produced that first-round pick in 76. And then the second-round pick in 76 was Pat Thomas, who went on to be All-Pro, one of the greatest Ram corners of all time. Now, the second-round pick in 1975, Monte Jackson. Think about that. Mike Fanning, Monte Jackson, Nolan Cromwell, Ron Jesse, Pat Thomas. I think the Rams should build a statue to Dan Devine, right? Help me, right? Help me. Is that amazing or what? All right. We went over an hour. I didn't want to go over an hour, and you guys stuck with me. Let's see. I think God loves the Rams. As long as Dan Devine's around, right? All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I gotta end this thing. Go find out what's happening for dinner. Thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for having fun. Please hit like, subscribe, share. More and more of the show's about you guys talking than all of our bells and whistles when we start done. All right, guys. God bless.